When a woman keeps looking at you, not just once, not just a casual glance, but repeatedly, it's not by accident. This isn't some random coincidence or a trick of your imagination. Repeated eye contact from a woman is a subtle form of communication, a signal that often says far more than words ever could. It's quiet, it's smooth, and it's deliberate. A woman doesn't continue looking at a man unless there's something that has drawn her in. Something about your energy, your presence, your vibe. Women are naturally intuitive and observant. They pay attention to details that men often overlook. While you might just be standing there adjusting your jacket or looking at your phone, she's scanning everything. Your body language, the way you move, your expression, even how you carry yourself in a room. That second or third glance she throws your way, that's her saying, I noticed something about you, without ever saying a word. See, women don't give away their attention freely. We're living in a time where distractions are everywhere, social media, notifications, busy environments. So when a woman is choosing to repeatedly direct her focus toward you, she's doing it with intent. That repeated eye contact is her way of trying to figure you out, trying to get a read on you. She wants to know if you're confident, if you're aware of your surroundings, and most importantly, if you're aware of her. It's her silent test to see if you've picked up on her signal, or if you're still in your own little world. And here's what most men fail to realize. Eye contact is one of the oldest and most powerful tools of human connection. Before we even learn to speak, we learn to communicate through our eyes. That's why it hits different. When a woman holds your gaze more than once, she's engaging in that primal, unspoken connection. She's not looking for a man who's perfect. She's looking for a man who's present. There's a major difference. One is pretending to have it all together. The other is simply grounded enough to show up and notice the moment. This kind of eye contact, it doesn't come with fireworks or flashing lights. It's subtle. It might even feel like a game of, did that just happen? You look up, she looks away. You look away, she looks back. But that back and forth, that's real. That's a window into attraction, curiosity, and sometimes even respect. It's a chance for you to show that you're paying attention, not just to her, but to the moment you're in. Now here's where it gets real. You don't have to overthink it. Don't panic. Don't start practicing your smile in a mirror or trying to pose like you're in a cologne ad. You're not here to perform. You're here to be aware. Just return the eye contact calmly with confidence. Let your eyes say, yeah, I see you too. And sometimes that's all it takes to break the ice. Women aren't just looking for flashy charm or loud confidence. They're looking for a vibe that feels steady. That moment of repeated eye contact tells her if you're approachable or distracted, self-assured or insecure. It tells her if you're the kind of man who notices the world around him or one who's too buried in his own thoughts to see someone showing interest right in front of him. You've got to understand, her eyes are asking a question. Not in words, but in presence. She's wondering who you are beneath the surface. She's wondering how you'll respond if you see her. It's not about making a move immediately. It's about acknowledging the signal. You don't need to run across the room or throw out a pickup line. All you really need to do is notice and respond with grace. It can be as simple as a calm, confident smile that says, message received. And that's where the real game begins. Not the kind of game people play to impress or deceive, but the game of awareness, timing, and energy. The ones who win aren't the loudest or the flashiest. They're the ones who are tuned in, the ones who don't second-guess a moment that's been handed to them more than once. Because the moment you recognize that look, that glance, that repetition, it's no longer just eye contact, it's an invitation. When a woman looks at you more than once, that moment is delicate. It's a quiet invitation, subtle, almost invisible to anyone else around, but very real if you're paying attention. And once you recognize it, your next move matters more than you think. This is where a lot of men mess up, not because they're bad people or clueless, but because they either do too much or they do nothing at all. The real key is to not overreact or underreact. That balance, that calm confidence, that's where your power lies. Let's talk about overreacting first. This is what happens when a guy sees a woman looking his way and instantly assumes she's head over heels. He gets hyped up too quickly, starts puffing out his chest, maybe throws on a fake smile that doesn't match his energy. He might even start showing off. Louder laughter, exaggerated movements, talking louder than usual just to get attention. That's not confidence, that's insecurity in disguise. It's an overcorrection, a performance. And women can spot it from a mile away. When you start acting like you're trying too hard, like you're selling something, it makes her feel like the eye contact wasn't received, it was exploited. You've taken a moment that could have been natural and turned it into a stage act. Overreacting also looks like rushing in too fast. A woman glances at you a few times, and next thing you know, the guy is already walking over with rehearsed lines and false bravado. He's not reading the vibe. He's not giving the moment space to breathe. He's responding out of impulse, not intuition. That kind of energy feels invasive. It's not that she's not open to connection. She just doesn't want it shoved in her face like a sales pitch. There's a difference between making a move and making a mess of a moment that wasn't meant to be rushed. Now, on the other side of this spectrum is underreacting, which is just as damaging. This is where a man notices the repeated eye contact, feels that spark of awareness, but shuts it down internally. Maybe he tells himself it was nothing. Maybe he convinces himself he's not good enough, or that she couldn't possibly be looking at him with interest. So he looks away, avoids eye contact, keeps his head down, pretends like it didn't happen. What he doesn't realize is that he just rejected her without saying a word. In that silence, in that avoidance, she got her answer. He's either unaware, uninterested, or unavailable. Underreacting is often rooted in self-doubt. Many men are so afraid of being wrong, of misreading the signal, that they talk themselves out of action completely. They'd rather miss an opportunity than risk a misstep. But what they fail to see is that doing nothing is a misstep. When someone looks at you more than once and you do nothing in return, that moment closes. And once it's gone, it usually doesn't come back. Women aren't in the business of repeatedly offering interest to a man who shows no presence. They're testing to see if you're tuned in, if you're capable of catching something that isn't loud or obvious. That's where the real attraction begins. So what's the right way to respond? Stay grounded, stay cool. If you notice her looking, acknowledge it with a calm glance back. Don't stare her down, and don't act like it didn't happen. Let your response be natural. A small smile, a nod, maybe even just holding her gaze for a second longer than usual. That's all it takes to show that you noticed her without overplaying it. It's subtle, it's confident, and most importantly, it leaves space for curiosity to build. What makes this kind of response powerful is that it doesn't put pressure on her. It says, I saw you, and I'm aware. It creates an open loop, a mutual understanding that something just happened between the two of you, even if no words were exchanged. And that space, that energy, it's what makes people want to lean in. When you strike that balance between not doing too much and not doing too little, you create room for authenticity. You let the moment unfold instead of forcing it or hiding from it. In these situations, the moment is everything. It's quiet, but it's loud in its own way. If you do too much, you ruin the vibe. If you do too little, you lose the chance. The sweet spot is in the middle. It's in staying calm, being aware, and letting your energy match the moment without trying to control it. That's what makes a man unforgettable, not just to her, but to everyone watching him carry himself like he doesn't need to prove anything. He just shows up, sees what's real, and responds like a man who knows his worth. When a woman gives you that second or third glance, she's doing more than just looking. She's feeling out your vibe. She's reading your energy without ever having to speak a word. And if you want to respond the right way, it's not about impressing her. It's not about doing something flashy. It's about matching her energy with controlled confidence. This means you don't overdo it and you don't shrink away either. You stay calm, grounded, and intentional. That's the kind of energy women notice and respect. When she looks at you again and again, it's a test of presence. She's not just checking out how you look. She's seeing if you're aware of your surroundings. Are you emotionally present, or are you lost in your own world? Are you the kind of man who carries quiet strength, or are you reactive and insecure? Controlled confidence isn't loud. It doesn't need to announce itself. It's subtle. It's when your body language, your eyes, your demeanor all say the same thing. I see you. I'm not shaken. I'm right here. Now let's break down what matching her energy actually looks like in real time. Let's say you're standing across the room and you catch her glancing at you. First time, you might think it's random. Second time, your awareness kicks in. Third time, now you know it's intentional. This is not the moment to stare her down like you're trying to win a staring contest. That'll only make her feel uncomfortable or even guarded. Instead, give her a look that says, I see what's happening, and I'm good with it. A half smile, a subtle nod, a relaxed, steady gaze. It's not about what you say, it's about the attitude you carry. Controlled confidence is rooted in not needing the moment to go a certain way. You're not desperate for her to validate you. You're not relying on her attention to feel like a man. You're simply responding to what's being offered with grace and maturity. It's the difference between a boy who needs attention and a man who earns it by being unshakably himself. This energy tells her something important. It tells her you're emotionally stable. It tells her you're confident without being arrogant. It tells her you're not the kind of guy who gets rattled when someone attractive shows interest. You're the kind of guy who stays solid, who doesn't break his composure just because he's being noticed. That's powerful. That's rare. And that's exactly what draws women in deeper. Another part of matching her energy is pacing. If her energy is soft and subtle, your response should be the same. You don't need to go full alpha mode or launch into action. She's not testing your masculinity with those looks. She's testing your emotional awareness. She wants to see if you're present enough to notice her without being overbearing. If you rush in, she might feel you're not reading the moment right. But if you wait too long and do nothing, she may assume you didn't catch on or aren't confident enough to act. Controlled confidence means timing your response with precision, showing her that you're not just reacting, you're tuned in. It also shows up in your posture, the way you stand or sit. Shoulders relaxed, back straight, arms open, not folded up like you're shielding yourself. You don't need to do anything dramatic. In fact, the less you do, the more powerful it looks. If your presence is strong, controlled confidence isn't about chasing her. It's about letting her see that you don't need to move a lot to say a lot. It's also about being okay with whatever comes next. Maybe she smiles back, maybe she looks away, maybe nothing happens at all, but the way you hold yourself in that moment speaks volumes. It says, I'm not just confident when things go my way, I'm confident no matter what. That steadiness, that's what makes her feel safe. That's what makes her think, okay, this man gets it. And if the moment does lead to interaction, you carry that same calm into your approach. You don't need a flashy line. You don't need a rehearsed act. You just walk up like you've been there before, like this is normal, like this kind of energy is just who you are. And when you speak, your tone matches that same controlled confidence. Calm, direct, no rushing, no fumbling, no proving. Just presence. Matching her energy with controlled confidence means you're speaking the same emotional language. You're letting her know, without saying much, that you're grounded, aware, and open to connection. But you're not chasing it. That's not just attractive, that's rare. And in a world full of noise, that kind of calm assurance stands out louder than anything you could say. When a woman gives you that second glance, maybe even a third, and you've acknowledged it with confidence and calm, the next moment that matters is how you approach. This is where everything can either come together naturally or fall apart completely. The difference? It's all in how you choose to carry yourself when you walk over. A real man approaches with respect, not with game. And that difference right there separates the ones who make a lasting impression from the ones who are forgotten the moment they walk away. Game is what insecure men rely on when they think being flashy or clever will do the work for them. It's the rehearsed lines, the fake charm, the over-the-top confidence that feels more like performance than personality. It might get a reaction sometimes, but it doesn't build anything real. It's temporary. It's surface. And women, especially ones with self-respect, can smell it instantly. When you lead with game, you're not showing interest in her, you're showing off you. And it comes across as selfish, shallow, and often desperate. Respect, on the other hand, changes everything. When you approach a woman with genuine respect, you're seeing her as a person, not a prize. You're not walking up because you want to win her or impress her or make her think you're somebody. You're walking up because there was a mutual energy, a shared moment, and you're simply willing to explore it with maturity and sincerity. You're not hunting, you're not chasing, you're engaging. Respect shows up in your posture before you even say a word. You're not leaning in too close, you're not cutting into her space. You're approaching with ease, with calm, with control. You make sure she feels safe. That's the foundation, because any connection worth having starts with comfort. If your presence makes her feel defensive or cautious, the conversation's already over, whether she smiles politely or not. Now, when you speak, you don't lead with a cheesy pickup line or some compliment that only focuses on her looks. She already knows she looks good. That's why you noticed her in the first place. Instead, you start by acknowledging the moment with authenticity. You might say, hey, I noticed you looked over a few times, and I figured I'd come say hi. It's real, it's direct, it's respectful. You're not hiding behind pretense. You're simply honoring the energy you both shared and stepping into the moment with courage. When you lead with respect, you also listen. You don't just wait for your turn to talk. You're not trying to dominate the conversation. You're observing, responding, letting the rhythm flow. That kind of awareness is rare. It tells her that you're not here for ego, you're here to connect. And that presence, that respect for the conversation and for her space, makes her feel seen in a way that game never could. Respect also means you're not afraid to walk away if the vibe isn't there. You're not pressuring her. You're not forcing a number or a date or a next step. This kind of approach also sets the tone for everything that could follow. If the energy turns into a conversation, then into a connection, then into something more, it all started from a foundation of respect. She remembers that. That's what makes her think, this guy is different. Not because you had the smoothest lines or the flashiest entrance, but because you were real, you were respectful, and you had enough emotional strength to show up without a mask. A man who can look a woman in the eyes, approach her calmly, speak with sincerity, and walk away with his dignity no matter the outcome, that man is rare. He's not chasing attention. He's not hiding behind bravado. He's simply being present, grounded, and honest. And in a world full of noise and performances, that kind of presence is unforgettable.